Crab fishing, either done as a sport or a job, it's a risky and dangerous task, because individuals can be injured or suffer a crash or a fall over. However, a crew of experts in crabbing called Time Bandits has been in the business revealing behind the scenes of fishing an expensive dish in the world. For this season, they are going on their last trip for the king crab season. What will they encounter? Are they set for the big catch? Join us as we explore the adventure of riding the intense waves to catch the mightiest crabs deep in the sea. Crew ends last season with a groundbreaking success. This time, the Time Bandit is racing 260 miles northeast of Dutch Harbour to wrap up the king crab season. The captain of the team, Jonathan Hillstrand, is quite excited, being their fourth trip in the season. He said, "We received 40s and 50s, so I'm happy. Though I think we're getting some really good numbers down here, I'm happier now." The crew members are quite happy too, recalling that they have been called short-timers. However, a massive storm moves in from the west, and it has the potential to destroy them. If Jonathan's final maneuver succeeds, they're going home. Jonathan continues, "We pretty much made it in the shade. As of yet, we are unsure. We have not been able to plan that far ahead, but we're going to examine the first area. And the thing about the first spot is that the remaining spots are probably going to have whatever that pot has." The crew includes capable men who can handle their adventure. They must be about 45 years old. Soon it was time to drag in their crab cages with their desired goods inside. One of them pointed out that there was a crab on top of the 3 pits, and they had to catch it before returning the cage into the water. They fish the secret areas of the hill strand, and it pays during the whole season. Jonathan acknowledged that the pot they are in looks great, while Stephen is happy because this is their last trip, and catching a good number like this means it will be a shorter trip. Suddenly, the Time Bandit becomes entangled in the gear of another boat. Mike senses it, and they realize they have equipment on the bike. They have no time for games and don't care where the other boat is fishing or whose gear it is. They just want to get it out. They have to be careful not to get the tape on their wheel because it can get stuck in their cutter bearings. The teeth disappear, and they feel calm because they don't want to dive in and cut everything out. They have 13 pots left, and a big storm is coming. Jonathan said their storage must be full, so it's time to work. They are short of the 25 average they need, but they still have 6 more pots to go. They look forward to other pots, but they can't predict their gain yet because it can be empty. After miles of sailing, they decide to end the tour. Fortunately, they're going home with a lot of luck. They finish the season with a pot or 2 they didn't touch. While returning, they try to beat the storm through False Pass and get home. They still have to ride out the storm and get through the narrow fjord at the bottom. A false pass can be dangerous because storms can reach 30 feet and smash a boat like a beer can, but they have to go through it to get back home. Situated on Unimak Island in the Aleutians East Borough of southwest Alaska, the United States, False Pass is a city. In 2020, the population was recorded at 397, which included seasonal workers at the fish processing plant. However, about 35 people live there permanently. The Izanotsky Strait, where the city of False Pass is situated, was formerly known by the English name False Pass. The strait was known as False Pass by early American captains of sailing ships because they believed their deep draft vessels could not cross it at the northern end. The foundation of the current community was established in 1919 when a salmon cannery was constructed on the Unimak Island side of the strait. False Pass became an official post office in 1921 when it was established, giving the community an official status. Commercial fishing for halibut, salmon, cod and crab remains the mainstay of the community's economy and way of life. False Pass is located in the Aleutian Islands chain, close to the easternmost point of Unimak Island. Although that portion is almost entirely uninhabited, a portion of the city with 26.093 kilometers or 10.075 square meters is located on the westernmost tip of the mainland, on the Alaska Peninsula, across the Izanotsky Strait, about 600 meters at the closest point. The city is 68.3 square miles and 177 kilometers in total, of which 41.4 square miles and 107 kilometers with 60.63% as water and 26.9 square miles and 70 kilometers square as land, according to the US Census Bureau. Human beings get motivated for the result of any work or game they are involved in. Such is the lot of these crew members who were motivated to achieve $1 million in their fishing trade. Were they able to achieve it? A multi-million-dollar quest. In this episode, the ship is 190 miles northwest of Dutch Harbor. They start hearing whistling from the strong waves of water near the Pribilof Islands. One of the crew states that they have to respect nature. "You must help us in this time zone." Jonathan prayed God would help the process to go deeper into fishing activities. He said they gave chase from 180 fathoms to about 305,400 fathoms. He declared that he needed to gain up to 4,000 or 5,000 pounds for the pick, which would amount to $1 million. Captain Jonathan Hillstrand charges through a 200-mile-wide low-pressure system and tackles a career-high 50,000-pound golden king crab in 25-foot seas. He soon declares that they are coming up to 6,000, and he soon finds the right depth. And truthfully, the animals seem to be in high quantities. They were able to catch big, fat, red crabs that got them surprised and excited. One taxon of decapod crustaceans that is primarily found in cold waters is the king crab. Many species are commonly caught and sold as food due to their large size and delicious meat, the most popular being the red king crab. King crabs frequently have noticeable spines. Since king crabs are not crabs, they are believed to have descended from Paguridae hermit crab ancestors, which could account for the asymmetry that persists in adult forms. Several anatomical traits found only in king and hermit crabs lend support to this ancestry. King crabs are the most frequently cited example of carcinization among the decapoda, even though there is still considerable question regarding this theory. The king crab's asymmetrical abdomen provides evidence for this theory because it is believed to mirror the asymmetry of hermit crabs, which are required to fit inside spiral shells. This crab is edible and can be found in the Bering Sea, Alaskan coast, and shallow waters off Japan. One of the biggest crabs is the king crab, which can weigh up to 5 kilograms and 11 pounds. It is a prized food due to its size and delicious flesh, and each year, a significant number are commercially fished. Members of the arthropod order Xiphosaura, also known as horseshoe crabs, are also referred to as king crabs. Soon after the previous eggs hatch in the spring, king crabs undergo a molt before mating. The females carry the eggs externally, where they develop for almost a year before hatching in springtime in response to the abundance of plankton. Crab larvae undergo 4 molts, known as zoea, and then the glaucotho stage, which sinks to the bottom. Following molts is like a fully developed crab stage, where growth happens with every molt. Younger crabs locate themselves in shallower waters. Every year, red king crabs migrate to deeper water and then return to shallower waters to lay their eggs. The maximum age is 25 to 30 years old, but most people do not live to be this old. According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, red king crabs are doing well. However, the majority of Alaska's red king crab stocks are in decline, and the state's fisheries are either restricted or suspended. There are some local stocks with strictly regulated quotas elsewhere in the state, but Alaska's stocks are thought to be large enough to fish. King crab populations are cyclical, and the environment has an impact on quantity. To account for these population changes, human harvest must be strictly controlled. Forecasting population changes is crucial to managing the fishery and preventing overharvest, as Alaska's largest shellfish fishery is still for red king crab. 2011 saw the landing of 17 million pounds of red king crab, valued at more than $110 million. Genetic analysis shows that red king crabs and hermit crabs are closely related. King crabs have claws of varying sizes, just like hermit crabs. The smaller claw appears to be used for tearing apart food, whereas the right claw is typically larger and shaped for crushing. Other species of king crabs that are less common in Alaska are the blue, golden, and scarlet varieties. In what is believed to be a defensive mechanism against predators, king crabs gather in groups known as pods where they pile on top of one another. Thousands of crabs are arranged in pods that can reach heights of several feet. Back to the episode, Jonathan hinted that crabs like depth from all his tool descriptions on the ship, so he has to stay at the same depth. He declared that if he doesn't position it right with the header, he will lose some of the movement. After the big success in the pot, they decide to go ahead and avoid the tide, because wherever the tide moves, it would be too deep. So Jonathan made up his mind to lose the gear because they drifted too deep. Armed with $80,000 worth of equipment and alignment, the veteran skipper made a surgical strike on a ridge nearly half a mile away. They have run into 1,520 feet with seas rolling. The crew members hope the journey is a good choice. The captain hints that he is pulling the strings of his lucky horseshoe, and he has high hopes of getting good results as he approaches the 400th pot. Captain Jonathan decides to take a risk and head towards a 400-fathom ridge where he believes he can find $1 million worth of Golden King crab. Despite the 40-knot wind, he feels optimistic about the catch. The large crabs they see confirm his confidence. They spot some big boys and cowboys and are excited about their haul. However, the conditions are very challenging and it's a stressful day. The captain is mindful of the safety of his crew and doesn't want anyone to get hurt. They continue to haul, but it's a marginal day. He suggests that the crew hide in the bow while he navigates to the next spot. Captain Jonathan is determined to keep everyone safe and avoid any injuries. He's pleased with the pots they're pulling up and feels excited about their successful catch, despite the rough conditions. The captain compares their work to a chess game, indicating the need for strategy and skill. In the world of fishing, every day is not a bright day. There are days they gain little worth or nothing. However, some days are lucky. One such is this next episode where the crew gains $850,000 worth of crab in a day. Fisherman gains $850,000 worth of crab in a day. The crew members are seen getting ready, preparing their minds for the next journey. Andy, while encouraging another crew member, he said, "You're one of the best jobs you've ever done, so why worry about it, man? You're not some punk ass here who does that, so relax and be focused." At the same time, the captain announced they were ready to sail. The veteran captain pulls into the first deep sea. They met with a huge amount of crabs in a pot, but there were fewer crabs. Jonathan revealed that with 140,000 pounds remaining, the clock is ticking. "I hope we have crab legs here at this pot, but instead it's filled with a lot of garbage there." He said that I wanted to see how many crabs are in the pot. There aren't very many so far. The time pirates who have ventured into the deep aren't much better than what they do in the shallows. I'm in a pretty bad mood for crabs here. I need at least 30 averages because I don't have time to check out more pot. In the wheelhouse, Andy works to lower the captain's blood pressure while Freddie is freaking out. While on deck, crew member Freddie Mogentai dances to alert the god crabs. Suddenly, they saw traces of some big crabs, which were up to 80 in numbers compared to their first season when they had 58 in numbers. The team retreated into the night after fishing with their tank full of crabs. They decide to settle down to count their cost, with 103 crabs costing $9 a pound, which will total at $6,500. The high cost of catching and processing crabs is one of the main causes of the high price of crab meat. To operate specialized equipment like crab traps and crab pots, skilled workers are needed for the labor-intensive process of crab harvesting. The need for manual cleaning and processing after the crabs are harvested raises the production cost as a whole. The scarcity of crabs is another factor contributing to the high cost of crab meat. In contrast to other seafood varieties like salmon and shrimp, crabs are not raised for commercial purposes. This implies that the availability of crab meat is reliant on the natural population of crabs in the ocean, which is subject to variation depending on the weather and other environmental factors like water temperature. Because of its distinct flavor and texture, crab meat is in high demand in addition to being in limited supply. Many seafood enthusiasts view crab meat as a delicacy, and in recent years, its appeal has only increased. Consequently, there is a greater demand for crab meat, which has raised costs. Seafood enthusiasts worldwide relish the costly treat known as crab meat. The increased price of crab meat is a result of several factors, including the high cost of catching and processing crabs, their limited supply, and strong demand. However, because of its distinct flavor and texture, crab meat is valued by many even despite its high cost. With the first trip coming to an end, it's time to wrap things up and take the crew members home. Jonathan appreciates Andy. He said, "Fishing with you has been a lot of fun, dude. Thank you for everything, bro." Andy revealed that he was almost in tears because it's been a wild ride. Andy and John were recounting their experiences on the water. They remembered the good, the bad, and the ugly times, and concluded it was a cool experience. John and his older brother Andy had a successful first trip. They caught a good, decent crab on the boat. Finally, they reached King Cove to unload. Jonathan revealed that he is proud of all the boys. They started 9 days late to the dock and didn't do very well at first, but they finally caught the crab. I don't know how much we have, but it's over 70,000 pounds. That's like an $850,000 crab right here. I did a great job for the returning children. After one last trip with his older brother, John flies home. Andy returns to the mainland feeling happy. Jonathan was grateful he was able to get the brothers home and once again appreciated their help. Crab fishing is a lucrative yet deadly business due to its vigorous activities and uncertain encounters on the sea. Yet many fishermen are wise enough to gain large quantities they exchange for cool cash. Largest crab fishing in a year. In this episode, Jared started the show by saying, "We're a team here. You know, one man can't do all the work, so we have to share it. Hopefully we can figure it out." Afterward, a crew member reported a fighting case to Jonathan, and he tried to resolve it. Back in the ship control room, Jonathan revealed that they were about to reach the ice, so they were trying to gather as much as they could get. And fortunately for them, they were able to get a huge amount of crabs that made them happy and screaming. They counted 300 pieces of crabs. Jonathan was quite excited too, but they still launched back into the waters, hopefully to another huge batch, which was exactly the case. The crew seems lucky on this particular episode so far. They counted 332 in the second round. Doubting the third attempt, the captain said they had to put the cage back into the water and stand back to see the result. In another update, they decide to head 14 miles northeast. But first of all, Jonathan receives a call to get an update on the sea ice. When seawater freezes, sea ice forms. Ice and freshwater ice, which has an even lower density, floats on the ocean's surface because it is less dense than water. Approximately 12% of the world's oceans and 7% of the Earth's surface are covered in sea ice. The Arctic ice pack in the Arctic Ocean and the Antarctic ice pack in the Southern Ocean contain most of the world's sea ice. These ice packs are located in the polar regions of the Earth. An important yearly surface extent cycle occurs in polar packs, which is a natural process that is essential to the Arctic ecology, including the ecosystems found in the ocean. Sea ice is highly dynamic, resulting in a wide range of ice types and features due to the action of winds, currents, and temperature fluctuations. Icebergs, which are fragments of glaciers or ice shelves that break off and fall into the ocean, can be compared to sea ice. Icebergs can also be present in sea ice expanses, depending on the location. In addition, as the Arctic's ice melts, it releases ice fragments of all sizes that are subject to winds and currents and are at a considerable depth. The ice is also free of sheet ice and ice cover, so ships will find it even harder to navigate through this loose ice than through ice sheets, and the moving ice can occasionally trap them. These ice jams, narrow passageways also result in shallow drafts, which severely restrict the loads and sizes of vessels and harm ship traffic, particularly for larger, more expensive ships that are better suited for use in the Arctic. The captain got the wrong information from his brother. The sea ice would be there in a day, not 3 days. They were told not to speed too fast, but it's quite late already. However, the crew still decided to fish, but their equipment got stuck on the sea ship. While Freddie is trying to sort out the coils, Jonathan warns them of the waves, but unfortunately, it hits the ship. This got the captain furious, called down his brother, and gave a detailed description of how to handle the problem they encountered. Thankfully, they were able to sort out the challenge, letting out their cage to fish. Jonathan quickly noticed their catch and the attention of the crew members to it. They counted 300 pieces of crab. Their second batch was quite huge too, with a total of 372. The episode ended with the captain praying and hoping the sea ice would hold up a little for them. For a crew of fishermen to encounter back-to-back success, there is a depth of knowledge they have acquired. As the crew members set out in this show, they are determined to achieve success all the way. The crew's first success story. The episode starts with Captain Sig telling his crew members that if they want to be sneaky, he will pay them back in their coin. He added, "We'll add more hair to the pot and hope that it's enough to get by. We mixed groundfish with cod that we scrounged last minute at the dock." He asked her nephew Maddie, should we confront the person who stole our bait by corking him? And she replied that they should give him a little shot. Captain Sig and Mandy nestle their pots side by side, the Time Bandits' gear in an act known as corking, betting that the scent of the Hillstron's heavily baited pots and the crab they attract will be split between both their tanks. Sig announced that John's right in front of him and he wanted to slam them. He said, "We're going to set Jonathan down right now. This is 211 fathoms, and we're corking the Hillstrands." Meanwhile, Jonathan has seen into their game and hopes their little game will ruin their friendship, to hate each other the rest of our lives over some stupid little season. Both teams are throwing their cages into the water and slamming each other. In the far northwest, both captains of Time Bandits and Northwestern approach pots that hope to hold large amounts of seafood. The Northwestern were the first to get a big golden king crab. This motivated the Time Bandit to turn in their tools too. They caught 90 red king crabs on their first attempt. In the following attempts, 3 crabs were caught each, which was a total of 25 in 3 attempts. The crew is quite excited about their catch at the first attempts. The red king crab is a species of king crab that is native to cold waters in the North Pacific Ocean and nearby seas. It has also been introduced to the Barents Sea. It is also known by the names Kamchatka crab and Alaskan king crab. Fisheries heavily target this species, which can reach a leg span of 1.8 meters and 5.9 feet. The largest species of king crab is the red king crab. Red king crabs can grow up to 28 centimeters and 11 inches in width, 1.8 meters and 5.9 feet in leg span, and 12.7 kilograms and 28 pounds in weight. Men develop bigger than women do. Red king crabs today rarely grow wider than 17 centimeters and 7 inches around their carapace, and the average male found in the Bering Sea weighs 2.9 kilograms and 6.4 pounds. Rather than the burgundy color of a live animal, it was named after the color it takes on when cooked. Native to cold waters in the North Pacific Ocean and nearby seas, the red king crab can be found off the coast of Kamchatka Peninsula, in the Sea of Okhotsk and Sea of Japan, and from the Bering Sea south to the Gulf of Alaska. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union artificially introduced it into the Barents Sea's Murmansk Fjord to supply Europe with a valuable new catch. The water temperature range in which red king crabs have been observed is -1.8 to 12.8 degrees Celsius, 28.8 to 55.0 degrees Fahrenheit, with a typical temperature of 3.2 to 5.5 degrees Celsius and 37.8 to 41.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Young animals like it when it's colder than 6 degrees Celsius and 43 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew's 4th attempt came back empty, and while they were disappointed, they noticed the door of the cage was closed wrongly and it was corrected. Their 5th attempt came back with nothing, which made the Time Bandits conclude that something was messing with their gear. However, Andy believed it was coincidental to the same time Jonathan noticed Sign pulled his ship gear. He puts a call across to the Northwestern ship deck to inform them of the challenge. He said we were supposed to crab and then all of a sudden blank, and the doors tied differently. We tie our doors the same way every time. These doors were not tied the same. It's kind of weird, you know. We're the only 2 guys around here. Captain Sig replied that it was not his doing. Hands on my heart, swear to you, we did not check any pots, guaranteed. Jonathan joined in the conversation to say, it's kind of weird, you know. I kind of feel violated, man. I don't see anybody on the AIs. I don't see anybody out here. They think someone hauled their gear. I just hate starting a season like that, and we're already pairing. As the episode ends, Sig becomes worried that they might meet with the same fate, since it happens to the Time Bandits. What are your thoughts on these dangerous journeys? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. While at it, also like, share and subscribe for more exciting stories.